Justice Benedowino, members of the panel, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you. It is my pleasure this afternoon to talk on behalf of my organization, the Civil Society. As you all know, people talk about Gandhi as a spiritual leader, as a visionary leader. But I think he was more than that. I think he was an agent of change. An agent of change that is still speaking to us today. When we look at all the actions that he did, from freedom struggles to passive protests, from engaging in negotiations to servicing the poor. At one point, he even stepped down from politics to focus on education and poverty. What does this mean to us, to me? According to me, Gandhi had visions that stood on strong principles, on strong philosophies. On the philosophy of education, when I look at all that he did in India, in London, everywhere he went, when he spoke about education, in order to free the poor from poverty, I think that this is what he was asking us, volunteers from the civil society, from the communities to do. He was asking us to work to educate, to work to develop people in order to take them out of poverty. Regarding the principle of changing lives of people through passion, through love and care, for me, he was sending a message to us volunteers. He was sending a message to us in the communities, telling us that it was important for us to work and build communities. And this is what we are trying to do. We are trying our very best. On the philosophy of transforming nations, he talked a lot about this. Everywhere he went, through his quotes, in the work that he did, in the struggles that he made, he talked about transforming nations. And to me, when I reflect on this, I see that he was sending a message to the world. He himself was a messenger to the world. He was a messenger of peace and non-violence and harmony. He was sending the message, and we, as civil society, as members of the community, I think we need to pick this up and try to work on it. And as volunteers, he was asking us to be at the service of other people. Transforming the world through peace and non-violence. It's good to say it, it's easy to say it, but we have to work hard to achieve this. Now, when we read about Gandhi, the chair has talked about this, and even Ambassador mentioned it. They talked about knowing Gandhi as a person who made a lot of sacrifices. Yes, myself and other people have read, when just 2 days ago we were talking about this, we were reading a little passage, and we said, oh, this man, he did a lot of sacrifices. Indeed, he sacrificed his life, according to me. He sacrificed his life for non-violence, for peace, and for harmony. For example, in 1924, when the relations between the Hindus and the Muslims worsened, Gandhi, what did he do? He did a 3-week of fasting as a means to call for unity. This is very powerful for us. This is very strong. And at our organization, we are trying to reflect a lot on this to see how we can educate our own members, especially people in the community, to see what we can do in this direction. So for me, Gandhi is dead, but his legacy is still alive. He is still talking to us today. I look at him as a man of great inspiration, as a hero. You know, as a civil rights leader, Gandhi has inspired many movements of civil rights and freedom, not only in India, but in Asia and across the world. Today, many of us from all walks of life, volunteers from civil society, are voluntarily giving our time and life putting themselves to the service of others. To the same line. Inspired by Gandhi's philosophy of transforming the world through peace and non-violence, many different activities have been organized. A few years ago, in my own capacity as the chairperson of International Friendship League, an NGO, I organized a cultural show entitled Bridging Cultures, where we successfully managed to bring on stage several groups of different nationalities together. There were around 4 groups of Indians, Sri Lankans, Nigerians, Kenyans, Filipinos, Malgache, Mauritians, and Seychelles. Indeed, I really thought that activity was a very successful one. And we learned a lot because what they did, the pieces that they were staging, was sending out messages of peace, of non-violence, of harmony. And most of them were talking about friendship. There was a lot of recitals, poems, dances. So already it means that if they came together, it means that they understood, they understand what we are trying to put forward to them, and they have understood where the message comes from. We said that it comes from Gandhi's philosophy. And as I said earlier on, we have to see how we can work towards achieving peace and friendship, non-violence. In this world that we are living in, there are so many things going on, a lot of activities, good ones and bad ones. I don't think Gandhi was telling us to go and take part in wars to make peace. He was telling us that each and every one of you, wherever you are, you can do a little gesture that can change the life of someone. And this is it. This is what we are telling our volunteers to do. Whatever you can do that are positive and impactful. I give you a second example. You know, in Japan, there is a Japanese cruise ship called Peace Boat. This is a boat that travels the world, spreading the message of peace. It is owned, this Peace Boat is owned by an NGO called Peace Boat. So when I heard about this, we looked for information. We took contact with this Peace Boat to know what they were doing. This is when I learned that they cruise the world, bring along a lot of people, NGOs, organizations like UNESCO people, to spread messages of peace around the world. So we contacted them. This is why a lot of you people have heard about Peace Boat come to the shores of Seychelles. For 6 consecutive years, they came here. And I took full responsibility to organize friendship, peace, and friendship harmony activities for the passengers on board. A lot of local people joined us. Normally, 2 hours before the boat left the port, we were on board, doing all sorts of educational and cultural activities that are geared towards the development of harmony, peace, and friendship. Thirdly, I think that Gandhi was a messenger to the world on the need to transform the world. Therefore, we think when we discuss about this in our organization, we say we cannot wait to carry that strong voice over the next generation. We have to act now, because now is the time. So, based on the principle of non-violence, according to me, any little gesture of goodwill done to any person in need, Gandhi would have appreciated a lot. According to me, those simple and impactful actions entitle us to become ambassadors of peace. Therefore, it is for this reason that a lot of us in the Seychelles, including myself, have joined the Universal Peace Federation, whose mission is to spread messages of peace around us and wherever we are in the world. When we sit down, when I sat down with groups of volunteers in the communities, there are many reflections that we do. But one of them, we always tell, especially the younger ones, we said, forget your road unhappiness by creating happiness for others. Because when you are good to others, you are best to yourself. But the things you do for yourself are gone when you are gone. But the things that you do for others remain as a legacy. So I keep on saying that Gandhi's ideas are still manifesting worldwide, because as you know, locally, regionally, internationally, we see that nations, we see that organizations are crying every day they're crying, they're shouting, they are even praying for peace and non-violence. So this is why I say Gandhi is still speaking to us. Every day we see it. We have attended a lot of workshops, seminars on peace and non-violence. We have joined organizations, the AU organizations. We CEPS have joined. We have sent our members to get trained in peace, to on borders, East African borders. We have a lot of people doing this. Why? Because people believe in it. Now we understand what it is. And is it not Gandhi's philosophy? This is what we are living. We are trying to do. It's not enough. We still have to do more. In my preparation, I came across all the quotes that Gandhi made around 3,000, over 3,000. In fact, it was 3,171 exactly quotes that he had. And among the lot, I took out 4 very simple quotes, but which means a lot to me. The first one is, he said, and I quote, "Relationships are based on 4 principles: respect, understanding, acceptance, and appreciation." It's very simple, but if you look in our lives today, we see that there are lots of kinds of relationships: parent relationships, couple relationships, employer-employee relationships, relationships with your neighbors, a lot of. Are they good, strong relationships? Are they all based on respect, understanding, acceptance, and appreciation? Where they are not based on those 4 principles, we see that those, every day, we see relationships being broken. Why? Because we are not following the 4 principles. And in today's world, this quote is more important than ever, because we are asking people, families, to have good relationships, children and their parents to have good relationships, teacher at school and the students to have good relationships, in order to bring Seychelles forward, in order to develop the country, in order for us to achieve, to benefit from it. So I chose this because I see it is very relevant, and I keep on saying, that Gandhi still speaks to us today. The second quote that I've chosen is very simple. He said, "There are 2 days in a year that we cannot do anything, yesterday and tomorrow." In today's world, I see it's very simple. In today's world, you cannot go back to cry over what you could not do. You cannot go back to say that I should have done this yesterday, because it's gone, it's finished. And more importantly, for us, members of the civil society, volunteers, we are telling them to act today. Anything that is good, anything that is positive, please do it today. Gandhi said there are 2 days in the year that you cannot do anything. It was yesterday and tomorrow. Don't wait for tomorrow, because you don't know if you ever see tomorrow. Tomorrow is never yours. So anything good for people in your community, in your organization, in your neighborhood, do it today. The third quote that I took is, if you want to change the world, start with yourself. For me, there is no better quote than this one. It sends out all the message. start yourself wherever you are. You can't just sit down and talk about the world. In this country, in that country, they have, the president should have done this, Trump should have done that. What are you doing in your community? What are you doing in your neighborhood? What are you doing at school? In your organization? Are you doing the right thing? Are you doing enough? So start with yourself here. Then we'll go and see what Trump is doing there. And the last one I chose is, where there is love, there is life. Very beautiful. Yes, because where there is no love in the family, at school, at the workplace, we're fighting, we're killing each other. But where there is no love, what is there? There's hatred, there's destruction, there is suffering, there is killings. So when there are all these things, there is no life, according to me. So I would like to conclude by saying that everything Gandhi said was about peace, non-violence, development of people, changing lives of people. And for me, we should all try to live simple lives and do simple things that impact the lives of other people around us. For me, Gandhi gave us a lesson on how to be thoughtful, considerate, and kind to others. Actions of this kind would be remembered, as today we remember Gandhi for all his good deeds. With these few words, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all for your attention.